What's up, everybody, and welcome to a special joint practice edition of the Chicago Football Show. I'm Scott Bair alongside Carmen Vitale, and Bill's team reporter is joining us. Maddie Glab is also here to break down everything that just happened between the joint practice, or at the joint practice between the Bills and the Bears. So let's get right to the action here. Maddie, you were on the field, up close and personal, watching this practice. What were your overall takeaways from this joint session?
One of my biggest overall takeaways on the Bills side of things is this offseason, our coaching staff and our scouting department put a lot into our defensive line. We added 3 free agents on our defensive line. We also drafted 3 rookies, and it was because our defensive line ranked 18th last year in terms of getting after the quarterback, in terms of sack numbers. Not good enough. We all saw what the Eagles did in the Super Bowl, and a lot of teams are trying to replicate that. So they threw a lot of paint at the wall in terms of trying to see what can we do with the defensive line here. And we saw some rookies, we saw some of the free agents, new players get after the quarterbacks today. So I was really proud to see the growth that our defensive line has taken as a unit, not just the new guys, but you're seeing, because of the new players that are in here, guys like Greg Rousseau and Ed Oliver, veterans on our defensive line, big names, are also, leveling up their play.
You mentioned to me that joint practices are not a given when it comes to the Bills every year. Under Sean McDermott, you've done them 3 times.
Yes.
So what stood out to you from that regard of why they wanted to do this joint practice with the Bears? They come all the way to Chicago. It's a physical practice, very chippy, guys. What was it, do you think, that Sean McDermott was wanting to get out of this?
I think you start with why you do it in the first place. And you guys already had joint practices against the Dolphins, and I think for both teams it's a good measuring stick. Where are we at in the second week of the preseason, one final week after this game on Sunday, and then you have to figure out who are the 53 that are going to carry us through the big part of the season. So that's why Sean McDermott, I'm sure Ben Johnson wanted to do a joint practice. And I think kind of laying the foundation of doing a joint practice against a team like this, you have to have respect for each other, right? You can't go out there and have jawing plays every single play. Yes, it got chippy, but it got chippy in structure, and nobody, thankfully, got hurt from any of the fights that happened. And I think some of that respect started as early as the draft. I was talking to one of our scouts and asking him, does this kind of start when you guys are doing trades with each other in the draft? This is a good scouting department, coaching staff to work with. Maybe we extend it onto the practice field in joint practices.
Before practice, Ben Johnson said that this was, you talk about measuring sticks, that this is about the highest one because the Bears were going up against a Super Bowl contender. Is that the expectation going into this season? I know that's a lofty goal, but when you're so steadily advancing through the AFC playoffs, is that what Buffalo is looking at right now?
Yes, 100%. That is their biggest goal. That is what they talk about all the time in team meetings. They're very hard on themselves when it doesn't get to that type of season. I mean, last year they lost a game before when they could have made it to the Super Bowl. So it's a team that's been scratching, clawing, biting to get to the Super Bowl. They've missed out on some facets of the game. Defensive line was an area that they wanted to be better at. Injuries were also an issue at the end of the season, but when you have an MVP quarterback like Josh Allen, we hear our staff and our players say all the time, anything is possible with 17 at the helm, and that's what this entire team believes going into this season. He's in his 8th year. You add some pieces on the offense and free agency, you draft a bunch of defensive players, and they feel really good about where the roster's at right now.
It was interesting because it just looked easy for Josh Allen out there. Like, I'm looking over at the field, on one field where Josh Allen is, and Caleb Williams, who the offense had a couple of starts and stops today. There was a couple procedural penalties, which I'm sure Ben Johnson will be talking to the staff about and the players about. But it's interesting because we've seen Ben Johnson be very intense. And Sean McDermott is another guy that's a little intense, shall we say. Now that you've seen both of these coaches on the field, do you see any similarities between them two?
I see a lot of similarities between the two of them. I actually went back last night and watched Ben Johnson's introductory press conference just because I wanted to hear what he was saying about how you're going to build a team. Sure. And I think there are so many similarities. So I want to tell Bears fans, I'm from the future. If you build it the right way, it's going to be great. Good things are going to happen. You have your quarterback. You've got some great pieces on offense, some great pieces on defense. It's just about putting it together. And some of the biggest similarities that I've seen between the two of them and just some of the sticking points of who Sean McDermott is as a head coach, Ben Johnson said things like, we want to do it the right way. Sean McDermott always says that. I want to lean on guys around me. I want to have veteran coaches in here. Sean McDermott had Leslie Frazier, an older defensive coordinator, throughout the first few years of his head coaching career. So I think what Ben Johnson is trying to put in place, the boulders are there. It's about trying to figure out how to put it all together and have it work seamlessly. You got a young quarterback, so Johnson also said we're going to build an offense around him. I think those are the right things that you want to hear out of a head coach. Yes, you guys haven't taken the field yet, but I'm hearing the right things in terms of getting off on the right foot.
So this is the first part of a kind of Bears and Bills two-step, because we have Sunday's preseason game coming up at Soldier Field. Has Sean given any indication about whether starters are going to play? Any sort of preview that he's announced to the press to this point?
I can't give you any good nuggets on that yet. What we heard from McDermott was, I need to see where we're at in terms of injuries after this practice and assess who do I need to play, who do I feel good about. He also said it's going to be a case-by-case basis in terms of players and position groups. There are some younger players, he said, who, yes, I probably have seen a good amount out of in practices and in this practice specifically, but I need to see more on Sundays, during Sunday's preseason game. In terms of Josh Allen playing at quarterback, we didn't get an answer on that. He said that Allen has had a great preseason thus far. He loves where he's at in the process. What's left is just making sure he's on good terms with his new wide receivers. So this could be the year where we don't even see Josh Allen play at all in the preseason.
Maybe that's the benefit of being MVP of the league and getting to kind of take it easy as you ramp up and up that rest level. But when you're looking then for, what are you looking for then in this game? If it's not Josh Allen taking the helm, what about the guys kind of at the bottom of the roster that are vying for jobs? Where do you see kind of the most movement there?
Yeah, quarterback 2 is a sneaky spot. You have Mitchell Trubisky, who Bears fans know very well,
They
and
certainly
you have
do.
Mike White, who are battling out for that QB2 spot. Both offer different things. Both have had up and down days at training camp practices. Both have had some really good stretches as well. So that's kind of where my eyes go first, is that backup quarterback spot. And then kind of just filling in your gaps of who is going to be the important depth on this roster. You have some wide receivers who are fighting for spots right now. You have some younger players who are UDFAs who are having good camps right now. So I'm interested to kind of see quarterback 2s and then your depth, who's going to make up a good part of the roster.
Carmen and I have been to so many training camp practices. They all kind of like run together at some point. I guess I'm just curious, for someone who is really seeing Caleb Williams from the field for the first time, did you have any initial impressions about arm talent or mobility, or did you have any takeaways from what you saw there?
Caleb Williams, one of the first things I think about with him as a quarterback is your arm talent, and I saw that on different occasions during practice today. You also see the mobility a little bit in the pocket. I know he took a lot of sacks last year, and I think one of the things going from your rookie season to your second season is learning how to have the right pocket presence, learning when to stay in the pocket and learning when to get out of the pocket. And with some new offensive line pieces that the Bears have, hopefully that will help Williams feel a lot safer in the pocket of, yes, I can step up here and make this throw, or no, I'm going to roll to my right and find a guy near the sideline.
On the other field too, you saw Josh Allen got intercepted, and a couple of times the one was taken back thanks to a flag, but it was pretty physical over there. It was pretty chippy. What did you see from the Bears defense then going against the ones?
Yeah, one thing that I had my eye on was just Josh Allen and Keon Coleman's connection. That's a wide receiver who's in his second year with the Bills, and just trying to figure out where is he at in his process, in his progress. He's somebody who finished his rookie season and thought this was trash. He actually said that, which is incredible. So he's been working really hard this offseason, gained a lot of muscle mass, and you can see that out on the field. But just in terms of him kind of beating up some of the DBs and some of the DBs kind of beating up him, there were some plays where Keon Coleman had 2 touchdowns, but there was another play where a DB got in his way. So the secondary for the Bears is pretty stacked this year. Tremaine Edmonds had that interception that got called back. He's a former Buffalo Bill. So, I want to see the Bills do good, but to see a guy like Tremaine Edmonds kind of get in there, I'm like, Go Trey. Happy for you.
Yeah, well, let's stick on that topic because he's going to play a huge role in that interior linebacker spot, and he's been with the Bears for a couple of seasons now. Do you have any recollections about a younger version of Tremaine Edmonds?
Tremaine Edmonds is a physical specimen. I mean, he has the perfect makeup of a football player, and to stick somebody like that in the middle of the football field, I think is something that the Bills really appreciated during his time. When he was kind of in his last couple seasons with the Bills, it was really about how can you become a leader in this defense. So I'm sure now with the Bears, he's done a great job of taking the right step forward to become a leader of the team and of the defense. But he's somebody who he would get into places that you shouldn't get into just because of his arm length and because of his explosivity in the middle of the field.
That's absolutely something the Bears are going to be looking for. Dennis Allen, a very aggressive kind of defense, very aggressive scheme. We've seen a lot of that throughout camp so far, just from the Bears side. And, we had the Miami Dolphins in here last week. You saw how kind of physical the team stepped up. Did you see, was there a different level to the Bills today going against an opponent that's not familiar at all?
I did see the physicality. McDermott said early in his press conference, we need to be physical out there today. And not like saying, please fight with these players, but, take it up a notch. This is the middle of the preseason. We are getting closer to roster cuts. We need to figure out who you are on this team, what your identity is, and how you're going to fit on this roster. So I saw that physicality during team periods out of our defensive line. I saw it out of some of our wide receivers and running backs. I think our offensive line did a good job on certain plays. Your defensive line was also blowing up some plays. I saw 2 batted passes in team periods on Josh Allen. So good on you guys for that. I was like, wow, Josh doesn't get many passes batted
he's
because
huge.
he gets the ball out so fast and he's so good at layering his throws and he's huge. But I did see that physicality, that special teams period, I think was just hilarious for everybody to watch because you have your starters on the sideline who are egging on your special teamers and there's something that's going to happen. It did.
So last year at this time, the Bears had Hard Knocks in camp.
Yep.
For somebody who works for the team and is inside of the building, what's the Hard Knocks experience? Do you notice that they're there? Are you watching the show? Kind of like, what's that dynamic
I
like?
looked over at one of the Hard Knocks people today as we got into the field house at the Bears facility, and I was like, oh, welcome. And he was like, well, we were here last year. I'm like, yeah, this is kind of home for you guys. So.
Very familiar.
But in terms of noticing them, they've done a great job of kind of blending in. They wear the team colors, so they kind of look like they're a part of the group. They travel in pods. You've got your videographer, you've got your audio person, you've got your person who's helping hold cables and cards and all that stuff. But they've been a great group to work with. We did a big event that we premiered the first episode at one of the local theaters near downtown. So I think it's been
Which
awesome.
you got to MC, by
I
the
got
way.
to MC it, which was very cool. But it's been good to have them on. And in terms of what the players and coaching staff thinks of it, they've been very open and honest, and we're not trying to hide anything. We believe we have a championship culture in here, and we want to show that to everybody.
See, that's such an interesting perspective from the inside, and then seeing it broadcast to the public. Fun stuff and great stuff from Bills team reporter Maddie Glab. Thank you so much.
Chicago native.
And Chicago native.
It's awesome to be back.
Yeah.
I fangirled a little bit being in the field house and seeing the Walter Payton shrine. I was like, this is crazy.
Awesome. Lots of great stuff. And one more Bills-Bears matchup coming up on Sunday, preseason game number 2 at Soldier Field.